Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selke of winnerscoming.net, and Mia Johnson, editor of dorksideoftheforest.com, talk about all things pop culture, TV, movies, nerdy stuff in general. We're talking dragons, we're talking space lasers, talking Game of Thrones, Star Wars, superheroes, Marvel, any and all things under this general umbrella. It's a big tent, and you're all invited to join us. And hey, everyone, if watching, if you got a comment to say it. We'll see it. We'll respond to it. Or you just want to sit back and take in the show, that's fine too. Hello, Julie. Good to see you. And Mia, how are you doing this lovely Wednesday in sunny Vancouver, BC?
Oh, yeah. We are enjoying Canada, aren't we? That's where we are in the studio, second week back. I'm doing good. I walked over here, enjoyed the fresh air, so I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I still love being back here. I love being free. I love biking. I love not being in my room 24/7. I like being out and about, and I hope it stays that way because, there are like those whispers of a resurgence of a variant. But wasn't that fun to say? The variant after all the Loki stuff?
Yeah. It gives it a newer meaning, a nicer meaning, maybe, depending on how you look at it.
Any case, yeah, things are going well. And we have some fun things to discuss today, including, we'll just get right into it. There's been so much news about Game of Thrones spin-offs. Game of Thrones ended 2 years ago now, and they're building up the next thing. They're making one, but there's like this whole warehouse full of other ideas they're developing.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of unclear how many they have, how many they're kind of actively going forward with, how many they're keeping in the back pocket. But we got news this week via longtime Westeros correspondent James Hibbard, who is like the man on the scene for the entirety of Game of Thrones, about a new spin-off being added, one being canceled. I will try and kind of piece together what exactly it all means. And I have a theory about how it all relates, by the way. I think I'm right.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. So there's some good news and some bad news. I'll start with the bad news first. As Julie says, yes, the Delta is so contagious. I think, you know what, we shouldn't make light of it. We shouldn't say the Delta variant. So let's like Loki, that's fun. No, it's pretty serious. But also, I don't know, if you're really sad and that helps you lift a bit of it, maybe I can help you too. Anywho, the Game of Thrones spin-off news is that they canceled one of the spin-offs. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, when I say spin-offs, I mean like ideas they were batting about in the office, not like things they'd hired anybody for. It's not like these are, like, no one's losing jobs over this. They canceled the Flea Bottom show. They were going to make a spin-off about Flea Bottom, which is the poorest section of King's Landing. And again, like, apparently that was the one that was like least far along in the idea phase. And it kind of feels like it.
Yeah.
Because what was that show going to be? Like, I still have no idea.
Yeah, I remember us discussing the possibilities, and it is kind of funny to be like, these shows or these ideas are dropping like flies, but it does sound like, they were in a meeting, they had their whiteboard, and they were writing down all their ideas. And then it's like, little by little, as you're dedicating more time to good ideas, the other stuff is just kind of getting crossed off the list. So it sounds natural. And could have been a fun idea. Maybe they'll revisit it some other way.
I still like to think that it was going to be like a sitcom, like a Cheers-like sitcom, but like in a medieval tavern.
Yeah.
And there'd be like comings and goings. It'd be like the wacky person who stops by, the wacky clientele who kind of cycle in, and they put down their weapons, and like the barmaid's like, "You can't bring that in here, Horace." And like, "Fine, I'll give you my mace," that kind of thing. But we may never know. Anyway, what they've added is, I'll just tell you the whole thing, and you can tell me what you think. Okay. So the new one is an animated show about Yeti. Now, this is how you know that they're really trying to make a whole universe. Because Yeti is kind of in George R.R. Martin's mythology, this faraway culture on Essos, where the Daenerys hanging out for most of the show. That's based on the Chinese Empire, based on like different dynasties. Okay, it's pure background though. Like, we never go to it, we never visit it. Like, it's mentioned a couple of times. And they're saying, let's make a whole show about it, which does tell you that like they're trying to like find everything they can to build up like a whole universe about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously they're making a show about E.T., which is based on Chinese Empire. I think they probably want to get some diversity into the franchise.
Yeah.
They want to they want House of the Dragon. They're casting several black actors in those roles. A show about a Chinese-based empire. Obviously, you have a chance to hire people of Asian descent. I'm sure that's a consideration. And that's what we know. Again, this is one of those things where like it would absolutely nothing because there's nothing there. I mean, there's like these sketches of like this is what it's like. And there's like George R. R. Martin loves myths. He likes like kind of making up sort of backstory, but he purposely doesn't fill it all out. So, and that's on purpose to kind of make a mystique. So they could fill that in. What do you think of that idea, Mia?
I mean, it's really, I have no reason not to like it just because, again, it's like not a fleshed out idea and it's something brand new. I mean, it's animation and, this, like you said, Game of Thrones world that only, briefly gets mentioned over. So I don't know how much lore there is in this world. I don't know how much story
I'm not sure
takes
there's
place.
on the show at all. Like in the books, they mention it a few times.
Okay.
But I honestly don't know if it got one mention on the television show.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I like the possibility of them doing, again, for me, it's going to be hard to wrap my brain around like this is Game of Thrones just because we've only had one show and we haven't had anything kind of branch out in the way that all these other franchises are doing. So it'll be interesting to see, like, I don't know if this is going to be like the anime thing or if it's just going to be an animated series, but I think they have what it takes. And, for it to say Game of Thrones attached to it.
Right.
Might be a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure they'll find a way to like bridge that gap.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, if you're trying to kind of expand this, what makes a Game of Thrones show a Game of Thrones show? There's only been one Game of Thrones show.
Exactly.
Like, what is it? Like,
Yeah.
is it? And they have House of the Dragon, which has a lot of the things. It has like dragons. It has blonde Targaryen people. It has a lot of the same locations: the Red Keep and King's Landing and Winterfell and yada yada, like that, I guess. But if it's so far away, is it really? I mean, but then again, there's like what makes a Star Wars show? Like, the Mandalorian goes from place to place.
Star Wars has an aesthetic. They kind of have the same creatures and the same villains. And, to me, like I was saying, Game of Thrones is very kind of medieval. So, like, when we were looking at the Witcher trailer, it was like, oh, that feels like Game of Thrones because all those themes are overlapping. So, yeah, like you said, the Targaryens are very familiar to Game of Thrones, or kind of like with Star Trek, if they're wearing the uniforms and,
Right.
those sorts of things, it's... But to kind of take it out of Westeros or wherever and put it into this new series, it's going to be, like I said, interesting to see how they pull it off.
Okay, I do have a theory about how they're trying to link all these because a common thread has come up for me.
Is it going to be like a Thanos event or King the Conqueror?
No, it's not. It's much looser. So we'll see it work. Okay. So we talked about the one they're making is House of the Dragon. That one's the one they're making. They've got actors. They're filming as we speak. Matt Smith is in it. He wears a blonde wig. It does work for him. I don't know. You'll find out. In that, there is a character named Corlys Velaryon. We've seen him before. He's played by Steve Toussaint. He's an older black actor who's playing the lord of a powerful house. Now, okay. So he's an important guy. He's big in that story. They're also making, or one of the ideas is a show called The Sea Snake, or The Seven Voyages, which is about him when he's younger.
Right.
And he goes to all these far-off places, one of which is Yi-Ti. And now they're making a Yi-Ti show. I think they're trying to, like, backdoor in some of these things through their next thing.
Yeah.
I think they want to introduce Corlys Velaryon, who's going to talk about, when I was younger, I went to Yi-Ti, and then they're going to have a show where he is younger and goes there. And then when we see the place, they're going to have a show about E.T. I think it's part of a long Kevin Feige-esque plan to kind of sew this stuff in bit by bit until it, like, there's no tapestry yet. They're going to sew the tapestry, or at least that's their plan.
Yeah. That sounds plausible. It sounds to me also kind of how they are setting this subset of like the Mandalorian cinematic or television universe, where it's like you've got Star Wars, but now also the Mandalorian is its own universe. So kind of how they were like, okay, we're going to drop Ahsoka in this so Ahsoka can have this series. And,
yes, very much like that.
Yeah, the Rangers of the New Republic so they can have a new series and all these other things. So kind of like a little backdoor way to say, hey, this is here, so then we can introduce it fully into the next one. So I really believe, that might be the way they do it, or somehow.
I don't do it. I don't know if I like it or approve of it. I do see them that's what I think they're kind of angling for, as Julie says, based on the GRM universe. Oh, totally. It's all in it.
Yeah.
And Julie not a fan of the animation, which, yeah, I get. Hopefully they'll be able to stand on their own, like you can watch one and don't have to watch the other. Because, I mean, like, Marvel right now, we'll talk about it in a second, but, like, aren't they getting to that point where it's, like, it's starting to be, like, you got to do these to get the next one, where it didn't really used to be like that as fully.
Yeah, I think once we kind of come to these movies that, Black Widow was supposed to be released last year, but, once we start getting to these real Phase 4 movies, like following up past Loki and WandaVision, it's
The
like...
Ant-Man and the Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
and the
all of
Peter
those
Parker,
movies,
they're all
it's
gonna,
probably...
like, kind of be intertwined.
I don't think there's going to be like a single detail where it's like, oh, you really, you didn't have to watch any of the shows. I'm like, no, you had to watch the shows.
I don't want them to fail, but, like, I do a little bit, just like a smidge.
It might blow up to a point, at some point, they just become too big that it just sort of goes down, but I don't know.
As Nicole says, it's a rich world full of lore and possibility, but the longer time passes without any spin-off show to watch, the less attention span I have for DRT, especially these more outlandish ideas. I agree. And, House of the Dragon next year, that's going to be their make it or break it moment. If that hits, it'll give them a new lease on life. If it doesn't, we'll see what happens. Before we move on, let me show a brief break from a word from our sponsor, Manscaped. And at this point, I'd like to speak to the men in the audience and also the women who know at least one man. Winter has come and gone, but summer is here right now, which can mean heat, it can mean visiting beaches, it can mean sweat-related discomfort. To help with all of these problems, consider purchasing the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. This package comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, which makes removing body hair easier than ever thanks to its cutting-edge ceramic blade. It also has an LED spotlight and it's waterproof. So if you're taking a shower and the power goes off, no problem at all. And Manscaped has other fine products, such as the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your pesky nose and ear hair, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, which is like normal deodorant, but applied to a place where normal deodorant doesn't usually go. Would you like these fine products for yourself? Simply get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANSIDED20 at manscaped.com. See you there. Okay. Thank you to the fine people at Manscaped for that advertisement. Yes. Anyway, Mia, I think you want to talk about, speaking of Marvel there, you had a something to bring up. What is it?
Yeah, so we are really in the swing of, it's the middle of the year now. We're kind of in this phase where we can release movies in the theater, but we can also still release them at home.
We can. Like Black Widow came out in the theater, also came out in Disney Plus Premier Access for $30.
Yeah, so what's been going on is something interesting because Black Widow's box office, this is its second week out, it sounds like it's significantly dropped compared to the opening numbers.
Doesn't that always happen with movies, though?
But not Marvel. I mean, yeah, the numbers will drop, but they're usually, I think the last couple of movies have been, all like billion-dollar box office breakers.
Right.
So all of a sudden to have this movie where, it made a certain amount of money and then all of a sudden it falls off, especially with Marvel, is troublesome. Now, okay, so what's been going on is they have it's the National Association of Theater Owners who are basically mad at Disney for what it seems like for having this hybrid, release schedule where it's like you can see it in theaters, but if you want, you can also see it at home. So shall we read one of their quotes?
I leave it to you, Mia,
Okay.
if you dare.
Okay, so they put out, it's kind of like an angry letter. They said, despite assertions that this pandemic-era improvised release strategy was a success for Disney and the simultaneous release model, it demonstrates that an exclusive theatrical release means more revenue for all stakeholders in every cycle of the movie's life. And then they went on to say piracy no doubt furthered Black Widow's performance. It'll affect future performances in international markets where it's yet to open. So they've seen this with other movies like Wonder Woman, Godzilla vs. Kong, Cruella, Mortal Kombat. But it didn't happen, they say, with movies like F9 or Quiet Place. So they're wondering how much money was lost by piracy, and they're wondering what could be done about Disney basically, grabbing their pitchforks and being upset at Disney for losing the money. Oh no, but Disney is not losing money, of course, through all of this.
They did make a lot of money through the Disney Plus Premier Access thing on it too.
Yes, yeah. And so what's been going on is that when you release things on your own platform, you get to keep all of that money. You don't have to split it 50-50, with AMC or whoever else these theater companies are. So I'm like, I don't know where I
That's cool, I know.
feel. Okay, here's the thing. I realized, because I remember us having early conversations, and I was like, as soon as the movie theaters are open and we can start going back, I'm like, I feel like I would want to see movies in theaters. I've been a hypocrite because with all of these movies that they've listed, I've seen every single one of them at home. Why? Because I can, and I don't want to go out right now. So it's like, I get where they're coming from, but it's like, yeah, as long as people are putting movies out at home, people are gonna see those movies at home. So what are your thoughts on this, Dan?
I think theaters need to embrace annihilation. Not quite, but okay. So their claim is that if we release movies in theaters, then everyone will benefit. You know who won't benefit? Us. Okay, what about us? Why don't we matter? Like, yeah, they will lose out on money if Disney, Warner Brothers keeps releasing movies straight to streaming services. Theaters will make less money.
Yeah.
That's probably true. Studios will make more money, and people like us will have more choice. At the end of the day, I am for a move that benefits customers, and I am a customer. So, yeah, you are going to adjust Motion Picture Association or whatever that thing that was. It's going to change, and it's going to be new models, technology advanced. Give us something new. Give us smell-o-vision. Bring that back. Find ways to bring us in. Those movies there, it's in for everybody. Like the ones they mentioned, I wouldn't have seen Wonder. I probably would have seen Wonder Woman in theaters if it was out. I wouldn't have seen it after I saw. I would have been mad because I would have gone in saying it sucked and then didn't like it. I didn't think Godzilla vs. Kong at all.
And
I watched Mortal Kombat at home, but that I would not have watched that in the theater.
Exactly. That's the other thing is okay, I'm seeing movies that I normally would not have seen in theaters, and I feel happy that I didn't spend money on things like Mortal Kombat or Wonder Woman, even though I was in the middle with that, but I'm so glad. Or Space Jam, and we'll talk about that too. I was I really didn't want to spend money on that. Of course, you're paying the price of your subscription, which, is $16 a month, $9 a month, whatever it may be. But that's one thing. My other thing would be, though, I think the only way to remedy it, because I do get that they're trying to say, this is our industry. It's been around for many, many decades.
And it will still be around.
It will, but it will have to look different. The only thing I could suggest is maybe doing a delayed release. This would be,
I think they are going to start doing
to
that.
try to favor movie theaters where you release it in the theaters first, and maybe a week or two after is when it is on streaming. Have it on streaming for a month, take it away, and then a couple months later, it's free on streaming. It's complicated.
That's basically like what HBO Max is doing, except they do it day and date.
Exactly.
If they just delay it by a couple of weeks, they put it out there on HBO Max for a week after, have it for a month, and then take it off. That's more or less what they do with that one caveat that's not day and date.
Yeah, the day and day I think really makes it, because it's most people are going to be talking about that movie the first week, maybe the second week, but as with Black Widow, it's not really. So,
also, one other quick before we move on, and we had some good comments here that I want to respond to. But okay, the pandemic is not over, people. We were just talking about the Delta variant, the low-key Delta variant, and how it is more contagious. It's spreading a lot. There are still millions of unvaccinated people. It's still not completely safe.
Yeah.
And so, really, any move where people are we should do it because more money for everybody. Less life for some of the people. And again, you'll still get money, but Disney will get more money than you do. Yes, it's going to be an adjustment, but we will benefit. We will be able to save more money and make more choice. That's what I'm mostly behind.
And then
I'm going to go back to the theaters. I haven't been back to the theaters since literally before the pandemic because nothing's really inspired me to.
Yeah.
I am going back for The Green Knight in a couple of weeks. That one looks good. And if it's good, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to watch frickin' Mortal Kombat in a theater. But, like, okay, fine. I guess I'll watch it at home. My partner wanted to watch it. I wouldn't have watched it at home, frankly. I will go back for Dune. I will go back for The Green Knight. And anything else that looks really good, I will go back for.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and then we can read the comments coming up, that what you were saying, as I think about it, the timing does seem really, really, like, I would say the S word, but really, really bad, to be like, we're still in the midst of this. It's much different than last year in many, many ways. But for them to be complaining now when there are a lot of things, like we said, Comic-Con still is virtual and all these other things, I'm like, why
Con of Thrones got canceled again.
Yeah, I'm like, why? I can see if this were next year, maybe things are much, much better. And then they're like, hey, wait a minute, you've taken this out of hand. I think Warner Brothers, too, was like, well, we're only going to do the hybrid release for a year, and then we should be back to normal. So
People will put pretty much anything on the line if they stand to lose money. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Like, almost everything else goes out the window. It's like, our profits are down, pack them into the theaters. I don't care. We could have, like, the Black Plague 2.0 going on. Just do it. And that's a problem that I'm not sure we're equipped to solve. But I'm on Disney's side on this one.
Ooh, wow, what a rare. I got to record that and caption.
Oh,
Save it.
It's recorded. GIF it up. Okay, Nicole says, love having the option to stream major movies at home, and I hope it continues. The price for 2 at a movie theater nowadays is about $25. Yeah, with like all the concessions. So add a drink and popcorn, it's about the same price. Plus, I can pause or watch as I like. I agree, Nicole. And as Julie says, love those pops on table. Can you pick her up and show us to us, Dan? Yes, I can, Julie. My favorite is... Oh, no.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, we got some Game of Thrones pops here. My favorite will always be Cersei on the Iron Throne. She just looks right there, I think. Although, we're making some like new pops in here soon to reflect the diversity of topics covered here at the Take the Black Live program. But we'll see. Maybe not.
Yeah. Send us some suggestions, some fandom suggestions. Lord of the Rings, Marvel, Doctor Who.
That's a great point, yes. What pops or props would you like to see on the show? Give us your suggestions. Or if you want to see the same stuff, also great. He also says, there's still something special about going to the theater, but there's a lot to be said about staying safe, too. Oh, completely. I love the theater, and I am looking forward to seeing The Green Knight in there. But I like choice. I think choice is a good... like an unambiguous good.
Yeah,
and I
now.
want to keep it.
Yeah. So
I'll go to the theater. I'll stay home. As long as I have the choice, I'm happy. And I don't like people trying to take it away from me.
I do think Jungle Cruise might be the next movie. I like purposely didn't request a screener because it's like it's a Disney movie. It's probably not going to be the greatest movie, but I would like to see just something, this year.
You ever seen that meme with The Rock where he has like 4 different screens, him wearing like a kind of a khaki tan shirt? It's like these are 4 different movies, which it is. He loves that khaki shirt.
I mean, those movies haven't failed me yet, so I guess that's why I'm going to see it.
Oh, it's true. I mean, he's always good.
Yeah.
I mean, some actors they have a type and they know how to play it and they stick to it.
Exactly.
I think he is one of them.
Yep. Oh, The Rock.
Moving on, beyond Game of Thrones, beyond Marvel, we also got some quickly, like today, we got some hot new dish on Amazon's giant Lord of the Rings show that they are spending $465 million in the first season alone. We're getting a lot about price, by the way. Like The Last of Us, they're spending a whole boatload on. Lord of the Rings spent a whole boatload on. There's probably a topic in that somewhere, but that's not this. It comes from the OneRing.net, which is like the OG kind of like fandom site. Like they are an inspiration to Winter is Coming. Like they were covering Lord of the Rings back when those Jackson movies were coming out 20 years ago. And they were great. They're so good. And they're still like going strong for all these years. Good for you, the OneRing.net. Love you. So these are kind of they're not confirmed by Amazon or anything. Jeff Bezos is too busy, like, I don't know, shoot himself into space. You want to call it that. But they are intriguing. I thought I'd just go through them quickly and geek
Yeah.
out for a second about Lord of the Rings. I'd like to get a little Aragorn guy, I think, there. Okay. So the show is sharing some crew with the Wheel of Time, which is Amazon's other giant fantasy swing, which is that they have both boggles my mind just a bit, but we'll see how that goes. It will adapt parts of, this is just cool to me, the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, two very notable J.R.R. Tolkien works that cover the extensive backstory of Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings. I mean, Tolkien's a serious guy. He writes, he made up his own languages for stuff. He has all these very lyrical, studied... It kind of reads like the Bible, honestly, like the kind of like very totemic books that he wrote. And they got the rights to them, going to adapt parts of them. I'm excited to see that. Because, I mean, honestly... doing your own thing in the Lord of the Rings universe is kind of dangerous because it's such a specific way it's written and depicted that, like, when you go outside the lines, we can tell, or at least I can tell. Like, I remember those Hobbit movies.
Oh, okay.
And, like, you knew when they wrote those lines and when those lines came from Tolkien. Like, there were some clunkers in those movies. Damn.
I'll take your word for it.
But it's good to know that they have access to the source material. There will be nudity, as we talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, does nudity belong in Lord of the Rings? It's so not sexy. But it won't be in a sexual context. It'll be maybe even worse. Apparently, it'll be like they're being tortured, the elves, and turned into orcs. So like a horror of war kind of context. So they're going dark. That honestly sounds a bit much too, for different reasons.
Yeah.
We just don't have it. And Nicole, I'll get to your comment in just a second because it looks excellent. Oh wait, we already read that. And Sauron won't appear in season 1. You know Sauron, right? Big Dark Lord, giant helmet, giant mace, loves jewelry, loves making his own rings.
Yeah, loves his bling. So he won't appear in season
It's just
1.
cool to get some information on this giant show that, for how expensive it is, we've had very little info about it, which is a little bizarre.
Yeah, as you mention it, obviously I'm not as tapped in as you've been with this. So, interesting to see these details. I think for me, like, this is the kind of stuff that just goes way over my head. So I'm like, okay, once I get kind of more maybe of a synopsis, or maybe once I get a trailer or the photos, that's when it'll start all coming to me. But I mean, it's exciting to get these details. The nudity is a little questionable.
Yeah, that one's like, good news, guys. It's not sexual nudity. It's torture.
Yay!
Like,
I can see if they wanted, like, if it's Game of Thrones or something, if it's not one of those scenes, it's like, oh, somebody's getting dressed or somebody's taking a bath. Like, I get it if you want to be a little adult in that way, fine. This is a whole nother level, so I don't know how that'll turn out.
But again, it always feels like it's early days with this show, so we'll keep our ear to the ground. And if Julie says, yeah, swap the pops around, show us lots of different ones, even Star Wars if you must. I will fight against having a Star Wars pop if it's up to me, but we're gonna argue back against it. I have my plans. It doesn't include Star Wars. Like, we have 3 spaces. One of them's got to be Game of Thrones.
Right.
I want Cersei to stay. And then I'm thinking like a Lord of the Rings person.
Okay.
Maybe a superhero. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine then. I think
see.
that works.
Maybe we can rotate them out though. Maybe we can have like
We need mere representation.
God, if
at
we
least
have
one.
like, what if we have like a giant cache of them and we just like pick the 3 that are appropriate for the episode every time?
Ooh, I like that. We've got like a pop vault. There's like a closet right there, and it'll just be stacked sky high with Funko Pops.
We're gonna, now that we're back, our imagination for props and sets is just going to rocket
running
off
wild.
This thing. And finally, well, not finally, second to finally, in general, we're going to talk about what are we watching. What are we watching? Time to talk about things we see.
Ta-da.
And whatever you're watching too, feel free to tell us in the comments. I mean, I'm watching my usual TV shows. The one new thing I thought was worth talking about briefly was, have you heard of the Gunpowder Milkshake movie on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was an action movie starring Cersei Lannister, starring Lena Headey as an assassin and her daughter, Karen Gillan, as her daughter assassin, mother-daughter assassin team up. And it was fun. It's a tight action movie that has a lot of visual flair to it. I loved the colors. Everything is very like primary and bright. It's one of those movies that kind of exists in its own little like kind of off-center universe, like where it's like it's our world, but like nobody does these things.
Yeah.
Like there are scenes in like video rental stores and like this big one in a library and like a 50s diner, and like these things aren't
That's
really
fun.
around. It's more like because the director thinks they're cool.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's like, it's a created, crafted world that only exists in a movie.
Got it.
It's a very movie type of movie, which I do think holds up, although it's a, you know what I mean?
A movie type of movie. Do you mean like
Yes.
creative and
I mean,
that sort
like
of?
a Quentin Tarantino, David Lynch kind of thing, where like they're not trying to show you life as it is. You know,
Okay.
they're
Wes
trying to show you.
Anderson
Yeah,
sort of.
yes, Wes Anderson. Very like they're trying to give you some kind of elevated thing.
I like that.
In this case, an action thing. So there's like John Wick in there. There's Jackie Chan in there. And the action scenes are good. I liked them. They weren't like the most brilliant I've seen in the world. I think the ones in Warrior are frankly a little better. But they were very inventive. And the biggest selling point was probably the cast. Like Karen Gillan, you know, Marvel, Doctor Who, veteran, Nebula, Amy Pond, right? That was a Doctor Who character. She holds it down. She is good. Lena Headey is always bringing it, always brings the presence. And then they cast Carla Gugino, Angela Bassett, and Michelle Yeoh as like kind of the three gun running family who are like on their side and fight with them. They were all great because those are like three action icons on their own.
Yeah.
And clearly this guy, the director, like it feels like he made this movie to highlight sort of these actresses and like kind of give them juicy roles to their teeth into. And again, the action was just a lot of fun. Like, I love Michelle Yeoh from way back from Country Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She has like the best fight choreography because she was great in that.
Wow, she was
Like,
in that, wasn't
oh,
she?
she was. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was like her big blow up, I think. They just do a great job. It's not a deep movie. It's not like, you know, you're not going to watch it and awaken to a new truth of the world. But it was fun.
Okay.
And I like a good pulpy action movie where they know they're a pulpy action movie. And they're not trying to do more than they are.
Did that have a famous director?
Oh, no. It's like a pretty new guy.
Okay. Wow, yeah, I thought it was. I've heard so much about it. I thought it was like one of those, like, I don't know. I wouldn't imagine who would be attached to this, but
I recommend it, Nicole. I mean, like, it's not great. Like, I saw like the tomato meter was like at 60%, and I was like, that's about right.
yeah,
But if you like that kind of thing, it's good.
that's cool. That's awesome.
As Julie says, watching Australian Survivor, loving it, and waiting for Britannia, not long now. Yeah, I know Britannia is coming back, but it has quite the following in terms of, speaking of like kind of Game of Thrones medievally offshoots. Even ones that are kind of flying under the radar, like Britannia.
Britannia. I hope it's going well.
Me too. Anything you're watching now?
Yeah, I watched a movie that is bound to be nominated for Best Picture, which is Space Jam: A New Legacy, starring Bugs Bunny and famed basketball player LeBron James. Oh my goodness.
And Tweety Bird and Daffy Duck.
Tweety, Daffy, Lola Bunny, played by Zendaya.
She is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
It was, I came into the movie a little kind of with my chin up, and I was like, this is never going to beat the original, or, that nostalgia is there with the Michael Jordan movie. So I really didn't know what to expect from this movie. I will say by the end, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm sure a lot of people, I'm not saying this is like the best movie or this is like really, really great or, it's a Marvel level movie. I just think I enjoyed it enough to be like, I'm glad I sat and I watched this movie. It's kind of riffing off of the first movie. It's like LeBron James has this son, and his son doesn't want to play basketball. He wants to be a video game builder. And so there's this whole other thing about Don Cheadle plays a sentient algorithm, and he wants LeBron James to be in his next project for some reason. So he kidnaps LeBron James, and he's like, okay, I'll release you and your son if you play a game of basketball with me in this virtual world. The one thing I did not like about this movie is Warner Brothers was they could not stop talking about themselves in this movie, because it's the first half of
Because
the
they
movie.
watched the Lego movie or the MCU and they figured like give you
That's
that.
what it sounds like. It was just back to back. We got to include this, and we got to include that, and we got to make kids say, "Hey, I know that thing." When half the time I'm sure there's like an Austin Powers reference. There's like, I think, Casablanca, The Matrix. I'm like, yeah, kids will definitely love pointing that out and being like, I love that thing. So that was my one like really big hang up. But otherwise, Don Cheadle was really awesome in this. He deserved that
okay,
Emmy
cool.
nomination. This makes up for it.
Oh, right.
For the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think the most creative part was the whole basketball game that they had. That was really fun. And visually, I have to give it up to them. It was really visually stunning, and they had a lot of creative moments. So LeBron James' acting was not great. The references were
Was it
overkill.
better or worse than Michael Jordan?
It was worse. I thought
Okay.
Michael Jordan was fine. If you watch the original, he was
But even Charles Barkley was pretty funny.
Charles Barkley is funny. Charles Barkley is a terrible actor. I'm sorry. I've met him before. I would not say that to his face, but like on SNL, it's always bad, but it's funny. And
But like he's the one they booked though, because he has some comic timing. I always thought a bit.
yeah, it's funny in that way. I think that's what's enduring about that. But like in the original movie, Larry Bird was paired together, I think, right, with Bill Murray. Bill Murray carried those scenes on his back. It was painful. So this time,
You know, I mean, like it shot. No, the professional basketball player is not an actor. Could not measure up to Bill Murray.
no, but I'm saying it's like the gap was that wide. So I think this time they learned. They had some other athletes
Oh, yeah?
who I did not know next to Anthony Davis. They knew really not to like give them those lines and give them as much
Sure.
screen time as the last one. So that's me rambling about Space Jam. I think I almost liked it better than Black Widow. I was like, if I had to choose a movie to watch over again, it would be Space Jam, and that says a lot.
No, I'm not sure it's an insult to Black Widow or just high praise for Space Jam. I'm glad you kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As Nicole says, going to watch Ted Lasso this Friday.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Nicole, again, I am getting on the Ted Lasso train. I just need a minute. My plan is to finish watching RuPaul's Drag Race All Star Season 6 on Paramount Plus, then cancel that, and then get Apple TV Plus.
I just got the message
Then
that
I am all over Ted Lasso.
oh man, my Apple TV Plus subscription is about to run out at the end of this week, so I had to cancel it all day.
You canceled it?
I think they won't let me. It was supposed to end on July 28th, like the free trial, and I was like, just cancel it now because I don't want to like forget, and then they charge me for a month. I was just like, no, it's done, it's over.
Fair enough. So you're not really. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
No, I don't think I watched anything on Apple TV Plus, so yeah. Except for there were a couple of screeners here and there.
That
I
was
think that's
money
about it.
poorly spent. Okay.
No, I got it for free.
Oh, right,
with
right,
with my new Apple device, so I didn't really have
Well, I'm
to
looking
worry
forward
about
to it.
that.
And anyway, finally, I'm also watching Drag Race. Always am.
That's fun.
Oh my God, Scarlett Envy went home. It was a scandal. And for the winner, I'm going to go with Raja O'Hara.
Ooh,
But I don't know. It's a great field.
what a choice.
Okay, anyway.
Ooh, I will say there's a making of the Loki series that just came out today. It's called, I think it's like Marvel Assembled.
Something like that, yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching that. And there's a Disney Parks kind of like show as well on Disney Plus about the making of like Star Wars Land and all those things. So I'm excited to watch that. And now I'll shut up.
Okay. And finally, our final section, we're going to do what we call the WiC News Lightning Round, where we go through the latest and greatest and hottest news stories and just try to give our takes on them in 20 seconds or less, because your time is valuable, so is ours. We're not going to waste it with long, drawn-out discussions, at least not any more than we already have. So, okay, are you ready, Mia?
All right, I think I'm asking the first one.
I think yes.
All
It's going to
right.
go back and forth. You ask the first one, and then we go back.
Cool. All right, Dan. So filming begins on the Wheel of Time season 2.
Once again, like season 1 isn't even out yet. This is a giant commit to Amazon, a giant fantasy show that's been a lot of money on, and it just shows you the economics for it now. Like you're out for a franchise, so you want to build out like multiple seasons right from the top before you even know if anyone likes the first one. But it's a giant series. I'm looking forward to seeing it. This is like the one I'm most curious about, other than like House of the Dragon. beyond that. All right.
Ooh.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, there's a rumor that young Princess Leia will appear in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it sounds interesting. So she would be about 10 years old on Alderaan. I originally thought it was only going to be like we would only see young Luke and Obi-Wan is like on Tatooine, but I did not expect him to maybe see young Princess Leia, and apparently she's supposed to set off his whole adventure. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I would love to live to see a little tiny Princess
cute,
Baby
yeah.
Leia in the Obi-Wan series. I think she'd be fun.
Okay.
Okay, up next, Andy Serkis, who plays Gollum, or played Gollum, will record the whole of Lord of the Rings audiobook. He will record all of Lord of the Rings as audiobooks.
That's great. I don't really need 20 seconds for this one. Yeah, that sounds great. I would get those. Gollum, Andy Serkis, really, really talented guy. Played Gollum, has the legendary voice. Like, I can't do it. I'm curious to see what he'll do for all the other characters. I mean, get a great voice actor in there, get like a cast of 100, and just let him loose. See what kind of new croakings he can find.
Yay.
All right, Mia. Antonio Banderas has joined the cast of Indiana Jones 5 alongside Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really star-studded cast, and I'm really super behind on like watching Indiana Jones, but this one sounds interesting. I don't know what Antonio Banderas will be doing. I think the last thing I saw him in was Shrek as Puss in Boots. So
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it's nice that he'll be back with Harrison Ford. I think
All right.
Okay, let's see. Okay, the first season, Dan, of The Last of Us on HBO will cost at least $100 million.
Okay, Last of Us, zombie show, Peter Pascal and Bella Ramsey, Game of Thrones veterans in the leads. That's surprising. I mean, it is and isn't. Like, this show shouldn't be that. It's a zombie show. So it's like people in locations that are already there fighting people in makeup. It shouldn't be that expensive. But again, you need to throw this money at the wall to make a dent in this escalating arms race. Okay, we're done. The rules are we can't keep talking. So I have more thoughts, but I just can't say them. All right, Marvel found a director for their Blade movie, Bassam Tariq, who was pretty... I mean, like, he directed, like, a popular indie movie, but he's pretty new. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that, they're taking a chance with these new directors, diverse directors. Blade seems so far away with everything that's queued up in front. So it's nice to see that they are working on something. It's just like, I don't know when we're ever going to see Blade stuff, because there's just so much stuff front-loaded in the MCU with Phase 4 and maybe even Phase 5.
Thank you, Julie. I like the red, too. It is oppressive and scary, which means that we will follow its rules.
Exactly. Okay, Dan. Game of Thrones director Alan Taylor will helm AMC's Interview with the Vampire series.
Yeah. Again, another giant cinematic universe they're going to try to make Anne Rice's books, vampire books, and witches books into like the cinematic universe. Alan Taylor, he wrote the episode where Ned Stark dies. So that's a pretty big one, and a bunch of others. Yeah, you could do a lot worse for the man who's going to direct your pilot and spearhead your thing than someone who has expertise in that thing. All right. This is a pretty interesting one. Mm-hmm. So the streaming wars are all happening. How about that? How about this from Netflix? They're going to start streaming video games.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that meant. It looks like they want to...
I don't really know either.
To dive into the video game industry, so they are going to be releasing apps on mobile that is free to subscribers. So other people have done it, like YouTube has streaming and video games, or something like that, and Apple as well. So
it's a complicated topic. We're not video game experts.
It's complicated, yeah. All right, so here we go. Fear Street director wants an MCU-style universe based on the R.L. Stein books.
Everything is a freaking cinematic universe thing. Like, yeah, you have one hit, and then you want to build out 30,000 shows about, this kind of horror series. I read Goosebumps when I was a kid, by the way. I read a lot of them. I have a giant box. I'm not sure if they're still in my parents' house somewhere. I mean...
You don't mean...
Okay, and the final story, Amazon is adapting Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boys as a limited series. Neil Gaiman, man.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff, and I need to look into this series as well because I have no clue what this one is about. But I saw a contributor of mine tweet. She was like, "Yay, the Neil cinematic universe is happening because
Yes,
we've got that, we've got the
Good
Omens 2,
and American Gods,
and American
The
Gods."
Sandman.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff
everywhere.
going on. He's everywhere, and I think this is his time.
Good, excellent. That was good. All right, and that is the end of this episode of Take the Black. If you want to give us a like, a subscribe if you're on YouTube, a bell if you're on YouTube, a 5-star rating if you're on iTunes, anywhere you can compliment us, just go ahead and do it. We are available on podcast form wherever podcasts are available, iTunes, Google Play, etc., and so forth. And, we love doing this for you. We love talking. We love chatting. We love bringing you into our thoughts. And we are here live every Wednesday from, Madagascar, and with our thoughts on pop culture, movies, TV, on every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Winter is Coming Facebook page and the Winter is Coming YouTube page. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Okay.
Ooh.